Good evening, everyone. Warm welcome to the fourth day of Oral Cancer E-Conclave organized by Icon Sterling Cancer Hospital and FHNO, Foundation for Head and Neck Oncology. We are on the fourth day. In the last three sessions, we have had prolific discussions about challenges of diagnosing an oral lesion, about the oral cancers, about locally advanced cancers. We saw about the treatment. We saw how beautifully the panel discussion gave solutions to very challenging cases. And here we are today on the fourth session where we're going to discuss and talk about the rehabilitation and follow-up of the oral cancer patients.
We'll discuss about chronic pain syndrome in oral cancer. So here in the Department of Oncology in Max Institute of Cancer Care, pain and palliative medicine is closely interwoven in oncology, starting from the diagnosis to the throughout the journey of the cancer of the patient, and even going through the rehabilitation and then end of life care. Survivors, even the survivors, they have pain and they continue to have pain even after the cancer is cured, and through the to the bereavement, right? So this is the kind of the cancer trajectory and the role of pain and palliative medicine that we play in the overall management of cancer. So we all know that cancer pain is kind of, in layman, they equate it to cancer is equivalent to pain for them, because whenever they see around them any patient with cancer, they see that they have pain, right? And WHO statistics say that 55% patients who are undergoing treatment for cancer, they have pain. 66% of the patients who have advanced metastatic terminal cancer, they have pain. And even 33% of the survivors after the curative treatment, they continue to have pain. So pain is such an important part of management of cancer. So is cancer equivalent to pain? Of course not. The major take-home message from this for all, everybody, for our respected colleagues and everyone, is that cancer is not equivalent to pain. And me delivering this talk in front of Dr. M.R. Rajgopal is, he's the father of palliative medicine in India. So I think this makes all the more relevant that we at Max and as a corporate hospital are also trying to deliver palliative care services to our patients. So pain in oral cancers is all the more important, because when the pain happens in the oral cavity, we are not able to speak, we're not able to eat, drink, and it affects our cosmesis, it affects our interpersonal relationships. So pain in oral cancers is all the more important. Then pain, of course, can be due to the cancer. Majorly, patients present with as cancer with the pain only, and it is the most important and common symptom. So early cancers can also have pain, which needs to be managed. And of course, advanced cancers, right? Then pain can be due to treatment, surgery, radiation, or chemotherapy, and pain after the treatment. Right. So a patient who has pain in the, or who comes with the pain here in the jaw, and it radiates mostly to the ear. So that pain is because of the cancer is affecting the tissues around it and the nerves, surrounding nerves. And then the patients who have advanced cancer like these, the fungating wounds, they are such painful wounds, and these patients need to undergo daily dressings for the care of the wound. So this daily dressing are kind of a trauma, and they are so scared of having this. So just one shot of analgesic, say oral analgesic 1 hour prior to the dressing provides them immense pain relief. Taking care of this pain, incidental pain, is very important, and we must be sensitive to this matter, that we do not start dressing without providing that prior analgesic to them, and using lignocaine sprays and those things to diminish the pain while we are dressing such wounds. Then post-op pain, of course, immediate post-op patients, they have pain because of mostly the head and neck surgeries are extensive, and many flaps are taken from here and there, and so that causes pain. Then after that, mostly adjuvant treatment includes radiation or chemotherapy, which has the pain, affects the skin and mucositis. So all this is very comprehensively dealt with by the pain and palliative care physician by use of analgesics. And another type of, I'll come to the management part, in very, very brief, because I've been given only 10 minutes to present this. And so, of course, pain after the treatment of cancer includes the chronic and persistent post-surgical pain. So now we have very skilled surgeons and advanced techniques when we cannot tell that the patient has been operated on, and the symmetry and the cosmesis is so nice. But even such patients, many times they continue to have pain along the scars, around the scars. They continue to have tingling and numbness, and that really bothers their quality of life. Even if the pain is not visible, they get the scans done, everything is normal, there is no recurrence, but still the pain continues. So this is the neuropathic pain. When we perform such extensive surgeries, small nerve fibers, they get cut and they continue to spurt and cause neuropathic pain there. So minimal interventions can help in management of such pain. Pain management is not really a rocket science, and all the primary oncologists are the primary pain physicians also for their patients. And it's a very simple WHO pain ladder. We are all aware of this. This was given way back in 1986 for cancer pain management only. And so we start with, this is a step ladder 1, 2, and 3. There are 3 steps. And we can go up to down to up, and up to down. So level 1 is for patients who present with mild pain. Mild pain as in, on a scale of 10, if the pain is less than 3 or less than 3, it is mild pain. So we provide only non-opioids such as some paracetamol and mostly diclofenac if the patient does not have any contraindications to that. So non-opioid treatment plus minus adjuvants. Adjuvants like which are specific to the type of pain. Say the pain is neuropathic, so we will add an adjuvant like a tricyclic antidepressant like amitriptyline or nortriptyline. And then if the pain is moderate, we move on to second step. So if the pain is moderate at presentation, you need not start with step 1 only. We can start directly from step 2, which includes weak opioids. Weak opioids in terms of which are commonly available in India are tramadol and tapentadol. And codeine is sometimes it's available, not readily available. Then, but kindly notice that there are also non-opioids must continue to be there, right? So many times we think that tramadol to chala rakha hai, so we don't need to give paracetamol or diclofenac along with that, or any adjuvant with that. So it's not like that. In all the steps, the non-opioid and the adjuvant treatments, they continue to be there. If the patient presents to us in severe pain, we need to start the patient on strong opioids like morphine or fentanyl, or even methadone is now available. But methadone needs to be started only by an expert. For that matter, even morphine and fentanyl must be started with prior knowledge of strong opioids. And even with step 3, many times I have heard oncologists even saying that the patient is on morphine, he or she might not be given, paracetamol or diclofenac. So these are important adjuvants, and they supplement the action of strong opioids. But we may not, when we have started the patient on a strong opioid, then the role of weak opioid does not exist. So giving morphine along with tramadol does not really serve any purpose. If the patient is already on a strong opioid, let us titrate the patient on strong opioid. And if the patient has any significant side effects, or we think that now the patient does not need, the pain has gone down with the treatment, then we can step down to a weak or a weak opioid or a step 2 analgesic. So mostly when the multimodal pain management is an important aspect. So when the patient comes to us with very severe pain, we titrate the analgesia using strong opioids. And along with that, step 1 analgesics always continue, including NSAIDs and acetaminophen. And along with that, adjuvants or co-analgesics, these are very important depending on the type of pain. Dexamethasone, anti-neuropathic agents, pregabalin, gabapentin, amitriptyline, nortriptyline, duloxetine, all these things, these are very simple drugs, and we must give the benefit of multimodal analgesic management to our patients. So WHO analgesic letter tells us that try to always give the patient medications by the mouth, by the clock. So no only SOS medications for the for the pain, cancer pain, when we know that the pain exists 24 hours. So providing the patient ki jab dard ho tab le lena is not really the thing that we look at, right? So whenever we manage pain of a pain that is of continuous type, so the analgesics need to be given by the clock, right? Along with the SOS doses for that incident pain, like dressing, for that incident or the breakthrough pains. So for that, we need to give extra SOS doses, and of course, individualized and given attention to the details. Like if the patient is at risk of dehydration or has a compromised renal function, so in that case, avoid giving an NSAID. So all those things, of course, we need to individualize the treatment. I would take this opportunity to just bust a few myths about morphine that many of us have and continue to have, that morphine is not the only medication that is used for pain management. It depends on the type of pain. It depends on the severity of pain that we start morphine or not. Then if the patient is started on morphine, he does not keeps to be sedated. He does not become addict to morphine, provided it is given under supervision of a trained pain palliative care physician. And there will be no withdrawal symptoms if the morphine is tapered down slowly and gradually under doctor's supervision. And many patients, they ask you कि अभी हम morphine ले लेंगे तो फिर बाद में जब जरूरत पड़ेगी तब नहीं होगा effective, ऐसे नहीं है. So it continues to be effective throughout the pain course, and it does not cause respiratory depression if given in correct amounts and under supervision. So another option for pain management is also nerve blocks. So these, oral cancer pains are also amenable to many nerve blocks, and these are we block the specific nerve fibers and to provide pain relief. Like in this patient, we gave many oral cancer patients, they complain of pain while swallowing, right? So glossopharyngeal nerve is an important culprit there. So here we did RFA for glossopharyngeal nerve block, and the patient was then easily able to swallow water, and it becomes very easy for the patients, because that nutrition is so important for the patients to be able to swallow without pain. So I'm not saying that just one injection will provide pain relief forever. So medications need to continue even with this, but the quality of pain relief that we provide with the nerve blocks is important. So, of course, in cancer, pain is never only physical. We as pain physicians and palliative care physicians understand the importance of, psychological aspects, spiritual aspects, and social aspects of pain that the patient is going through. It's never as simple a pain as an osteoarthritis knee, or it's never as simple a pain of post-operative cholecystectomy, right? So the patient is really suffering with, in terms of poor cosmesis, in terms of why this has happened to me, and that he feels depressed, loss of function. So all these things, whenever we manage pain, it is very important for all of us to consider the patient in a holistic way. So overall, cancer pain management would lead to improved quality of life, even improving adherence to the treatment, and of course, improve patient satisfaction. And so palliative care team continues to hold hands with the patients till the end. And so I always like to emphasize this, that let us integrate more closely everywhere the pain and palliative care team, because we will die in the system that we create. It is our choice to create a system where everybody, even the incurable and life-threatening patients, they reach the ICUs, or providing a dignified end-of-life care and a good dignified death to the patient. So in the end, I always like to thank my gurus and to provide me with this knowledge and the acumen to provide this talk in front of all of you. And thank you all. So yes, thank you all for patient listening. That's my time. Thank you.
Thank you, Megha. Again, wonderfully expressed. And contrary to the popular belief, what we have always felt is pain is not only end of life care. So pain management is not only end of life care. Cancer patients will have pain, and pain is not the physical pain alone. It is the mental pain, it is the psychological pain, and so many different aspects of pain. And this hand holding, this pain management is required at each and every step of a cancer patient journey. So very beautifully expressed, and we all echo your sentiments. And I will now request the chairperson for our session to kindly give his expert comments, Dr. Charu Maurya.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And it was an excellent presentation by Dr. Megha Pruthi. Excellent. I would say that pain is one thing which really hampers your quality of life. It may be a simple pain like headache, migraine, but when we talk of cancer pain, exactly I can really feel what she is trying to present here. Yes, it does affect your quality of life. So small steps from each and everybody to improve the quality of life of a person who's already gone through a mental trauma of having a cancer, which is more of a stigma also, and more of a life-threatening disease, which really puts your moral down. So if you can at least give them a quality of life which is improvised because of pain management, I think it is commendable. So wonderful presentation, and thank you so much, Dr. Megha, to give us an insight about pain management within the 10-minute time period given to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone. And thanks to Dr. Pavan and, team I Can Care, I would like to say is always so full of energy, each one of them. I mean, Dr. Reena, Shruti, Dr. Pavan, of course, so full of energy. And every time I join these sessions, feel like, we need to do something. We need to do something. So, and that energy goes down everywhere in the entire session. Really, kudos to you guys.